In this video, I'm going to introduce you to a few other things that we can do with list. The first thing is just like a string concatenation using the plus operator, we can concatenate lists together using the same plus operator. So here I have two lists. One has 3 numbers, the other have 2 numbers, and I can put the plus operator between them, and that means we want to concatenate the 2 lists together to make one bigger list. And this one bigger list, what it has is it has all the elements from the first list followed by all the elements from the second list. One important thing to remember for this is both operands should be lists. So if one operand is a list and the other is a number, I don't think it's going to work. And if it's something else, it might have unintended consequences. So with this knowledge, here is a little exercise for you. So for the list of months, can you create another list? We're going to call it winter. Winter is usually consists of December, January, and February. So how do we make a list of those 3 months? Alright, so assuming you have the time to do it, here there are several ways to do it. Here is one way that I can think of. So to get the months of the year, to get the last month, December, remember that's an index 11, it's the 12th element in the list. And then we're going to add January and February. So January is the first of the element, and the February, so that includes 2 of them, right? So let's do that, winter, and see what we get. It doesn't work, and what it complains is there's a type error, and it says can only concatenate string to string. Okay, so why is it complaining about that? Now, the important thing to remember is, okay, when we get month of the year and we get one element, like December, what we get here is a string. Okay? We are not getting a list. And remember, if we want to concatenate 2 lists together using the plus operator, well, then this one must be a list. It can be a list of one element that is just December, but it has to be a list. It cannot be just one element, which would be a string. So how do we get a list that just have one element, December? Well, we can get a slice of it, and that would 11 to 12, right? So that should have, hopefully, December, and then from 0 to 2, and that's January as well as February. Another fun thing we can do with lists is we can actually multiply a list using what else? The multiplication operator, the asterisk, right? And we can multiply a list with a number. Okay, so numbers is a list, right? Multiplied by, say, 3. Well, actually, let me give it another number, say 5. So let me actually run this and show you what it is. So this actually, if you can quite immediately tell, it actually repeats whatever's in the list 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, second time, 1, 2, 3, third, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So it repeats an element some number of times, depending on what the integer is after the multiplication operator. So, and that kind of makes sense, right? That's what multiply means in even a mathematical sense. So another thing that we can do with the list is to unpack it. So quite often what we want to do with the list is we want to get the first element of a list and assign it to a variable, the second element assign it to another variable, and so on. So that's one way we can do it. So let's say this list has 3 numbers, then we can assign the first number to A, second number to B, and third number to C. So that works. So I can run this, and yeah, it works as what we expect. Now, this operation, as a matter of fact, is so common that there is a better way to do this. And that is to actually put A, B, and C all on just the left-hand side of a assignment operator, and put the list itself on the right side of the assignment operator. And that achieves exactly the same thing. So the way you think about it, the way it works, is that it basically takes the first element, assign it to the first variable, second element, assign it to the second variable, and so on. So that's how unpacking works very briefly. If the number of variable doesn't match the number of elements in the list, like for example, if we have that, I don't think that works. Right, it complains. It is saying you have 4 variables, so you want 4 things in the list, but there are only 3. The other way around also doesn't work, or does it? Let's see. Yep, it also doesn't work. So the number of variables on the left-hand side must match the number of elements in the list on the right side. So back to one of the original motivation that we want to use a list is this problem that we let the user to type in what day of the week it is today, and we want to make sure what the user types in is one of the valid days. Right? And the solution we came up with before was to use a giant OR clause to check the day against all the valid days. Now, so we said that's not good style. How do we avoid that? How do we make this better? Well, as it turns out, you can check if something is inside a list, right? And that is by using the in keyword. So we can just ask, okay, is the day, is what the user type in, is that variable, is that in the list of days of the week? And if it is in it, then it's a good day, otherwise it's a bad day. So let's run this very quickly. I would say this is Monday, and hopefully it's a good day. And if we run this again, let's say not a day or something, then it's a bad day. And finally, lists can be compared, just like number or the string or any other kind of a data type. So the way that it's going to work is given 2 lists, and when we try to compare them using the double equal operator, what it will do is it will compare the first element from the first list with the first element from the second list first, and if they're equal, it will move on to the next element. So element at index 1 will compare those 2, and then element at index 2, so on and so forth, until it either compares the entire the 2 lists, all the elements in both lists, and all of them are equal, or until it runs into one pair that are not equal to each other. So in this case, the 2 lists, they should give us a true because all the elements are the same. And if I change one of them, and if I run this again, it should give me a false because the last element from these 2 lists are not equal. So the important thing to remember for list comparison is that each pair from the lists, they're compared in the order they appear in the list, and that the 2 lists are equal if and only if all the items are equal. So remember that, and here is a little exercise for you is, okay, these 2 lists, are they equal? Well, you can verify this in an IDE, but they are not equal. The reason is that even though the first 3 elements from both lists are the same, the second list has an extra element that is not in the first list, and it has nothing to compare to. So if you compare 4 with nothing, well, they are not equal. So the 2 lists are not equal. Okay, what about this second exercise? We have these two lists, and when I compare them, are they equal? Well, they are, again, not equal. Even though they both contain the same elements, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, but they appear in a different order. So again, the way list comparison works is it start with the first elements from both lists and then the second elements from both lists, right? So when we run into the second element here, 2 is not the same as 3, so these two lists are not the same. So again, I want to emphasize that the list is considered an ordered sequence of things. So order is very important in lists.